You may not have heard of INEOS before. It's a British 4x4 brand. And like a lot of other brands from another part of the world, it's a challenger brand in Australia, and it wants to play in what is one of the world's most competitive 4x4 markets. That is Australia. So the new 2026 INEOS Grenadier is available in wagon and also Quartermaster, which is a very large ute. And it's not cheap. You're looking at around 100 grand minimum for one of these things, and they can go a lot higher than that. But today we're going to drive them off-road, and I'm going to let you know what's good and what's not so good about these hardcore off-road machines. Now, before I go any further, confession time. This is the first time I've driven an INEOS Grenadier. They've been out since about 2023. This is a super young brand. It hasn't existed in England for 20 years or whatever. This has just happened. These are the first two vehicles, the Grenadier and the Quartermaster. And on first impression, I'm really liking what I see. I mean, if you're after a hardcore off-roader, this is probably a good place to start. You could buy a 79 series Land Cruiser or a Wrangler, but to get it to this sort of level of capability, you'd have to spend a lot of money on aftermarket parts to make it as robust and as tough as this vehicle. So in one way you go, 100 grand, 120, 130 grand, that's a lot of money, but you don't have to get any aftermarket add-ons. It's got absolutely everything. And let me show you some of the cool bits in the cabin. So up here, have a look at these auxiliary controls. This is so cool. So you've got the off-road modes here. So you've even got a waiting mode, which is kind of cool, and the car will give you various information. I love this here. This one doesn't have front and rear locking diffs. Most of the others do. This is the black edition. So this is a new special edition. I'll show you the other ones later. It does have a central locking diff. You got high and low ratios as well, 2.5 to 1 as opposed to 1 to 1 when you chuck that in. You can do the extra lights here. So this vehicle has 3 locking diffs. In certain model grades, you can upgrade it as well. That's really cool. And yeah, just the way the controls are laid out. This is meant to be used when you've got gloves on. You know, all this stuff it's analog, it's tactile, everything has a special push to it. It's designed to be easy to use. And check this out too. There's a bit of a military feel going on here as well. It's interesting. And there is a touchscreen. The speedometer is here, part of this screen, which is very BMW-esque, as is the gear shifter. It has the same gearbox you get out of a BMW ZF 8-speed. But the deal here is INEOS says we didn't do this to cut corners. This vehicle is very expensive. We could have put a big screen here, but they're saying they want this view. This unimpeded view, these upright windows are better for seeing the environment around you, whether you're off-road or on-road. So that's the deal with no speedo, which I found quite interesting. It would take me a bit of time to get used to glancing over here for the speedo. You know, it's done in Tesla. That was done for saving pennies. But yeah, in this case, it actually has a practical function. I just wanted to show you this before we head off. So this is, excuse the fan. Under here, we've got the winch. Now, this is fully backed by the INEOS warranty as well. So there's so many different accessories and whatnot. And check this out too. I really love this. So these are load rated to 40 kilograms, and you have them all along the roof of the car. I'm not a huge fan of these windows. These are optional. I'd probably, I found the sun blasted into me quite a lot, but here's a really cool little feature as well. Under here, you've got your built-in wiring. So there's 4 of these, 1, 2, 3, 4 on the other side. And another cool feature is the ladder. It's optional, but it's pretty cool. And in the wagon, you've got the barn style opening doors. So you got your full-size spare on the back. The boot's not massive. It's I expected it to be a little bit bigger. But what is cool about this car is that there are little holes all the way throughout the vehicle, 5 of them. and you can pull out the flooring and basically pull the lugs out of these little holes, and you can hose the whole thing out. It's actually a really clever feature. Like, yeah, just remember to put the little grommets back in before you go off-road. Anyway, let's see how this thing goes off-road. Okay, we're getting straight into some rough stuff in the Grenadier, and I've whacked the vehicle in low range, and I've locked the center diff. This vehicle does have front and rear diffs, but I'm not using them at the moment. And I'm using downhill descent control, and it is doing an absolute bang-up job. I've got it at about 7 kilometers an hour. I'm looking at about a 24-degree decline because I've got all the telemetry, the data up on the central screen. And it's cool, I can use the steering wheel controls for cruise control to speed up the downhill descent control, so I can go a little further, a little faster if I want. Foot's off the throttle, I'm letting it do its own thing, and it feels very, very predictable and competent. And I think that's the thing about this vehicle. I do get a sensation that they've over-engineered it. Maybe they didn't need to, but it's kind of cool that they have. It's got the 5-link Carraro axles, it's got IBAC springs, it's got SACS dampers, it's got a Tremec low-range transfer case. All the components they've used on this vehicle are quality components. These are all, you know, top shelf suppliers. And yeah, this first relatively tricky off-road course is proving no match for this vehicle. I mean, I probably don't need to even have the center diff locked. This is breezing through, and having that 250mm plus, I think it's 264 mils of ground clearance, is very helpful. I've got steel bash plates front and rear. It feels bulletproof. And another thing that gives it a sense of solidity is its weight. Yes, it's going to play against it in terms of fuel consumption out on the open road, you know, if the surface is very, very slippery, then yeah, the weight's probably not ideal. But having this 2.6 ton behemoth underneath you, it just feels kind of unbreakable. I mean, I know it is breakable. You could break it, but yeah, it just feels good. And another supplier, the Recaro seats, and they're super comfortable. Yesterday we did about 3.5 hours in the saddle, and no complaints. The seating position's taken a little bit of getting used to, but it kind of suits the vehicle's temperament. Like I feel most comfortable when I'm elevated, a little bit higher than usual, but I still have really good headroom, and yeah, I'm impressed with what it can do so far. So having those live axles front and rear is super handy, and this thing has some serious wheel articulation. I think we're not even getting close to the limit of what these vehicles can do. And another thing I really like about these vehicles, we've tested both the petrol and diesel inline 6-cylinder BMW engines. I think it's the B58 and the B59. The petrol has a little bit more response off the line, but talking to the INEOS guys in Australia, something like 90% of buyers are opting for the diesel, which just goes to show what people want in their off-road vehicles. And again, that diesel is very, very good for towing. It's got a high amount of power and torque. They've actually detuned it a little bit from the BMW setup because they want it to have better longevity. They want it to last longer, be more reliable, which I think is a good move. But these vehicles can tow 3.5 tons. But unlike a lot of other rivals, it has a 7-ton gross combined mass, a GCM. So the gross vehicle mass is just a bit over 3.5 tons. So you can fully load this vehicle and tow a 3.5 ton, you know, trailer or boat or caravan and not be hamstrung, not be like, oh, I can only have one person in the driver's seat because I don't have enough spare mass on the vehicle itself. So this has been designed to be a bit of a genuine tow rig. And unlike the Land Cruiser 70 series and even the Wrangler, this These cars don't feel asthmatic on the open road. Like when you put the foot in, you know, they're not fast, they're 2.6, 2.7 tons, but when you put the boot in, they move, they drop a gear, they accelerate quickly, and that gearbox too, it really is quite snappy. It's a really impressive setup they've got here. All right, so we're in low range. We've got center diff locked. I've got the locking rear diff. We might need it for this steep, tricky slope. I was gonna say sticky slope. I don't think it's sticky. It's quite dry. So let's see how we go with just the center diff locked. Will we need the rear diff? Here we go. Feels good. That diesel burling away. It's revving under 2,000 RPM. And a little bit of a spin. We'll try again. No, we're gonna have to lock that diff. Pop it into neutral, then you can see the various modes, sort of. There's a bit of reflection there. We lift that up. Now that is the locked center diff. So we've now got locked center diff. Then if we want to go to low ratio, we bring it all the way down here. Now you can even have it unlocked in low. So you can even bring it down here, but we'll have it locked. And then what you do is you hit the you hold down the off-road button. That flashes, then that goes on. Then over here, we're gonna wanna do our rear diff lock. Let's clank that on, and we could also pump on our spotlights too. The front spotlights are massive. And so have a look. We're engaging all our bits and pieces here. All right, let's give it a go with the locked rear diff. Easy as pie, straight up. That was interesting to see on that really, really loose, fine, sandy surface that it did need a little bit of extra help. But, you know, I've got the front locking diff as well if I need more. That's pretty impressive. So we've just pulled up at the top of this incline, and this car feels so built for purpose. It's an old school ladder chassis setup. It's agricultural, but it works. But they still put enough luxury features and little accessories and things to make it quite livable. Out on the open road, it's super comfy. Like I said, these seats are great, and this is one of the best fat arming cars I've ever used. So this shelf along here, it is super wide, and just getting in the car and getting relaxed is really good. I do like the ergonomics in here. You've got USB-C and A ports. There's the touch screen here. It does Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and I love the fact, you know, because I don't know if you know this, but INEOS has sponsors a lot of cycling teams. You've got the normal horn, and then you've got the other toot horn. Now that is for push bikes. I don't know if you can hear it. I'll try and get some audio later. It's so good. It's so good. I love it. There's a couple of things I don't love about it. There's a big footrest on the left here. It's almost too big. It kind of pushes your left leg up a little bit. The back seat is not massive, neither is the boot. Some other things about this vehicle that some people may not like. It's not an urban cruiser. It does look pretty cool. Looks like a G-Wagon in the burbs, and a lot of people are buying it because of that, because it stands out and it says I'm rugged. But it doesn't have lane keep assist, doesn't have autonomous emergency braking, doesn't have a whole bunch of safety systems that are kind of expected in modern motor vehicles. It's also got pretty heavy steering and a 14.5 metre curb-to-curb turning circle, which is going to make parking this pretty challenging. But I mean, you could get away with it for a family SUV if you really wanted to, but ultimately this is designed for the rough stuff. Another huge benefit for these vehicles are the standard all-terrain tyres, and surprisingly, they're not too bad on the freeway. There's not too much of a droning, you know, a monotonous droning noise that you sometimes get from these all-terrain tyres. But what they do off-road, the BF Goodrich KO2s are very, very impressive. They give you plenty of grip. So a quick look at the exterior shows this is basically a Defender body design, but the insides are completely new. And these vehicles have about 264 millimeters of ground clearance. All of them come standard on all-terrain tyres. These have 800 millimeter wading depth as well, both the ute and the wagon, and they are absolutely chock-a-block with off-road features. The design is very much function before form. It's a wheel pushed out to each corner. It's very blocky, and it's kind of like a Jeep Wrangler in a lot of ways. It's fit for purpose, and they haven't tried to make it look like every other bubble SUV out there. This is definitely designed to be an off-road vehicle first. The team that's put this car together have done a really, really good job. And yeah, it's not for everyone, and yes, it's pretty expensive, but if you plan on going off-road, there are very few vehicles right out of the box that will be as good as this. Thanks for watching, and would you take one of these over a heavily modified Land Cruiser 70 Series or a Jeep Wrangler or something like that? Or does the fact that this brand is only 3 years old play against it for you? Do you want to see them exist in the market a little longer first? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.